What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to be about my editing process on my iPhone using two different apps, one being VSCO and one being Polarr. I'm sure there are other apps out there that work just as well, but these are kind of my two favorites that I like to use. So I'm going to kind of show you my process and what goes through my mind when I edit photos on those apps. Alright, so I have VSCO open here and I selected two photos, one being from Sparks Lake and one being from the Oregon coast. So first I'm going to edit the photo from Sparks Lake. I took this in summer of 2018 when I was on a trip with my friend Turner Tinelli. I'm sure you guys know who that is if you follow me. But so the filter I always use is going to be M5. I know that's basic, but it works for me. And when you go ahead and select a filter in VSCO, you can change like the intensity of it. So I usually like to do about probably anywhere between 4 and 6. What I think will look good. And then next I'm just going to go ahead and crop this photo because it is not straight or centered at all. Actually, I'm going to adjust that a little more. I'll start with that. I might adjust it later. And then so next I'm going to have the exposure here. I'm going to turn that up a little bit. Contrast, I always like to add at least a little contrast to my photos just so the colors pop and the highlights and everything and all of that. The next, saturation. If you guys follow me, I'm sure you know I like to saturate my photos actually quite a bit, but it's kind of my own thing what I do. And then one of my favorite things about VSCO is the highlight and shadow slider. I just really like the way when you slide the highlights down, well technically up, but when you crush the highlights in this, I just like the way it makes it look. I think it looks really clean. I'm gonna actually adjust this again. There we go. That looks a little better. Alright, and then white balance. So the photo is already pretty orange, so I'm probably gonna leave the temperature the same. I'm probably just gonna add just a little purple tint to it. Yeah, like that. And then I also really like the vignette in VSCO. Vignette, grain, and the highlight are probably my three favorite things in VSCO. Yeah, I always add about 3 grain to my photos. I don't know. So recently it's been something I've been doing a lot actually. Leave the fade. And then I also just really like the colors you can add to the highlights as well. VSCO is just super like straightforward and easy to use, which I appreciate. Especially after switching over from Lightroom, which like obviously I know how to use Lightroom, but this is just so much more simple, and honestly for me it's faster to do it this way. It still looks crooked. My photo is crooked, it will literally drive me crazy, so I'll sit here and do this until it is straight. Yeah, there we go. That looks like a good base edit. So what I actually do is I edit. So I start the edit in VSCO and then I save that, and then I actually go into Polarr here. And here we go. That. And then I import the photo from VSCO into Polarr, and then kind of just finish it up in there just because there's some more tools you can use in Polarr compared to VSCO. Alright, so now that I have this photo in VSCO, Polarr. I have this photo in Polarr, so I always add some dehaze to it, and then a little more contrast, boost the exposure a little bit. I kind of just do the same thing, but just like the finishing touches, if that makes sense. But yeah, shadows up, crush the blacks a little bit. I've been really liking crushing my highlights in whites lately also. I don't know, I just kind of been liking the more flat look compared to the super bright, super dark kind of thing that I was on before, if you know what I'm saying. Bring those shadows up a little bit. I'm not really liking how black it is in the mountain, or right at the waterline. Alright, there. Yeah. And then, like I showed you in my last editing video about Lightroom, is I really like changing my oranges to red a little bit. And then I also really like using the color curves on here. Yeah, maybe warm those highlights up just a little bit, cool the shadows off. So hair, yeah, go to the green. So this will be green and purple. Keep that like that. Make the highlights a little more purple. Shadows is a little too green for me. And then blue is gonna be like a blue and orange, kind of. Make that more orange. Make that shadows a little more purple blue. Yeah, then I'm gonna go back over here to the color section. Boost the saturation just a hair. Change that tint, maybe the temperature. Like this, yeah. That, bringing temperature up. And then also another thing I really like about this app is that it has filters like Lightroom, so it has gradient filters, radial filters, stuff like that, which I also talked about in my last editing video, is something that is key for me when I edit. I use these on almost every photo. So, a little tip out there if you're watching this. Set contrast, crush the highlights, set shadows, bring the shadows up, dehaze look, a little bit, exposure, nah. Yeah, like that. Still honestly not really liking the colors though. There's a blue tint that I'm not really liking, so I'm gonna go back in here. Back down, go here. It's a little too green now. Bring that down. And yeah, I think that'll work. Actually, go here and change this luminance a little bit. Luminance is also another thing that can like change a photo completely. It's crazy how many little things can just change how your photo looks. I should go to the blue section. That. And yeah, I think that'll work for this one. So yeah, as you guys can see, that didn't take me very long at all to edit this photo. That's another thing I really like about editing on my iPhone, is just how quick, simple, and easy it is. And it also allows me to do them when I'm like on my laptop, if I'm out somewhere, I want to edit a quick photo, I can do it that way. So yeah. Alright, so now I am back into VSCO and I'm going to edit the second photo I have here. This is a photo from the Oregon coast that I took also in 2018, I believe. I'm pretty sure I peaked in 2018, but it's fun. Just turn this one up quite a bit, probably about 6. No, probably 5. Yeah, there we go. About to 5, and then go here. I'm gonna try to give this one more of like a bright, airy feeling. I just really like the way the clouds look and how bright they are already, so I'm gonna kind of just build off that in this edit, if that makes sense. Yeah, so it's already looking good. Boost that saturation because I really like colors. This photo looks a little crooked. Maybe. Yeah, probably alright there. That'll work for now, at least. And then bring down the highlights. Bring up the shadows a bit. Give this a more warm feeling. A little more golden, yeah. Skin tone, I'm gonna bring this down so it's a little bit, so the skin tone, it goes from like orange to more of a greenish yellow color. I usually like turn this to the negatives so that it's gonna be more orange. Like I said before, I like adding orange to my photos. So, add some vignette. Can't forget the grain, because grain is amazing. Oh yes, 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 yes. Fade. I honestly used to add fade to my photos like every single time, but recently I haven't really been liking the way it's been looking, so I haven't been adding it. And that blue highlight just to kind of build off the sky already being blue. Boost exposure. Set contrast just so the colors in the grass pop a little more. And yeah, I think that's a good little base I have there of VSCO. And then I'm gonna go back in to Polarr here and import this photo back in. So, all right, so we have this in Polarr now. I'm gonna go back to the light section, dehaze that, add a little more contrast here. Bring down the highlights, bring up the shadows, press the blacks, bring down the whites just a hair. Actually, this is looking a little too crushed for me. See, I like crushed, but that's a little too much. Yeah, about there. Go back to the color section, boost the saturation. I can take care of that orange here in a sec. Bring up that, bring the tint, yeah, tint down to green. So also, as you guys can see, I try to do the same thing for every photo, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna do what I think looks best just for that individual photo. So some I'll tint green, some I'll tint purple, kind of just depends on what photo it is. Some curves, usually I do it like a simple little S curve in here. Yeah, maybe clip the end of this just a little bit. All right. Boost that blue saturation, change that hue. Orange, turn that saturation down a little bit. Right there. Yeah, brighten this up a little bit just so it's not such like a deep dark orange. Kind of go for that little airy feeling I was talking about. Yeah, like that. Maybe even boost this more. Yeah, so when I'm doing this right now, I'm really trying to pull the blue out of the sky to contrast the orange of the grass. Yeah. Like that. Alright. Split tone. I really just be out here forgetting to split tone sometimes. I'm not even gonna lie. But today we are remembering. So. Yeah, like that. Really helps that sky out. In shadows, I'm gonna go for a little more orange, a little warmer. Maybe you can turn that up just so I can see what color it is. Right there, and then it is filter time. Let's go ahead and add this. No. Shadows. Another thing I also usually do when I edit my photos is I kind of do like a light gradient. So the top half of the photo will be brighter and the bottom half will be a little darker, just so it creates a little more contrast throughout the entire image, if that makes sense. And that shadow down, dehaze up. Bring that exposure up. Add another one down here for the grass. So when hitting this little eye icon right here and the red pops up, that is showing me what part of the photo, what part of the photo the filter is going to affect. So that way I can kind of see what I'm going to be editing with this filter. This still looks kind of crooked though. I'm not liking it. It looks straight when I have the thing up, but when I take it off, it looks crooked. So I'm probably going crazy. But yeah, I think that works for that photo. All right, so I'm gonna save this here, and I will go back into my camera roll here. All right, yeah, so we have the finished photo of Sparks Lake right here. I think that one turned out pretty good. I might go back and do some minor adjustments, but overall, that's probably the edit I will go with. And then we have this photo from the Oregon coast. Nice, bright, airy. Captured the feeling I was going for with when I edited that, so I'm happy with that outcome. Alright, so that is all I have for this video today. Thank you guys for watching this. I hope this kind of just gave you an insight on what goes through my mind when I edit photos on my iPhone, and that's kind of my process and all that stuff. So make sure you like, subscribe, ring the bell, that way you don't miss my next video, and yeah, peace.